Hello, everybody, dear listeners, fans. We are coming to you live from Field of Streams. This is Matt,
And I'm Mitch.
and we have finally settled on a name for this program, Behind the Hedges. We are peeking at y'all from behind the hedges. Yeah, I know that's cheesy, but I'll have a better one next week. Anyway, a lot to unpack tonight and a lot to talk about moving forward. This year just keeps getting more and more weird.
Yeah.
I don't even really feel good about where college football is headed. I certainly don't feel good about what it is right now. I certainly don't feel good about the fact that we lost to Florida for the first time in 3 years. Congratulations out there to Ethan and Ashley, our Florida colleagues. About time y'all got one. But don't get too full of yourself. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It was about 5 missed passes that our quarterbacks just couldn't hit. 3 of them were touchdowns. How many points would that give us, Mitch?
How many points would it give us, or would it give a normal football team?
Well, if we had got the 3 touchdowns, how many points does 3 touchdowns give?
20. We'll say 21.
Okay, then we would have won. So,
Yeah.
All right, but hey, congratulations. And listen, if they go to the championship, if they get past Bama and it's Florida in the playoffs, you better believe I'm pulling for Florida over somebody like Ohio State or Clemson or Notre Dame. So
for sure. Yeah.
I don't want to get ahead of myself. I did that in 2006 when Florida snuck in there. I was all about go Gators. Say that, but I'll do it again because I do believe in SEC supremacy.
Get stuck right there in their crawl.
Yeah. But it'll happen. Hey, watch what happens. If the Florida Gators are against Ohio State for the national championship, you'll see me doing that thing they do down there.
Let me tell you a little secret here, Matt. In case anybody needs to rob me, if I get locked out of my bank account, my secret password question is, what is your least favorite sports team? And the answer is Buckeyes.
Okay. Did y'all all hear that? Okay. Write it down.
Yeah. So now you got to get a card number.
I kind of got to agree with you. I call Ohio State is one of the unholy three. I'm going to tell you what I mean. Ohio State, Oklahoma, and USC.
Okay.
If those 3 teams field a team that is comprised of nothing but Shih Tzu puppies, the media will instantly still anoint them eventual national champions. They ain't even got to put humans on the field. If they walk out with diapers on and no pads, you will hear the media talking heads about those 3 teams talking about, oh, well, this is the greatest thing we've ever seen. Can't wait to see them in the playoffs.
That's hilarious.
It happens every year.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Didn't I see one poll where Notre Dame had already catapulted up to number 1?
Notre Dame's another one. Now I've let Notre Dame used to be part of. I called it the unholy tetralogy, but I've given Notre Dame a pass because Notre Dame has suffered only slightly less than we have suffered. Their last natty was in '88, and Georgia has at least been relevant. It's been forced relevance, and then they've just fallen flat on their face. So I give the Notre Dame fans a pass because they've actually suffered some humiliating seasons. Over and over again.
Yeah, they did have that appearance against Bama. What year was that?
That would have been, if I want to say it was 2013 or 20. It was 2012.
13.
And I was living in New Jersey, and I was surrounded by Notre Dame fans who were just so convinced that Manti Te'o had something for Nick Saban.
Well, he was convinced that he had a girlfriend.
Yeah. Well, when I showed up to work the day after, they all called off. That should tell you all you need to know. They didn't want no part of me because I kept telling them, SEC supremacy. Bro, get out of here. Man, I've been to Notre Dame Stadium. Get out of here. Okay.
I remember sitting next to a fire the night before that game was played. I was sitting next to a fire in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I was talking to this guy who was a huge Notre Dame fan, right? And he said so. And, we had just played Bama, previously. And it was basically like whichever team wins between Georgia and Bama. was going to go and annihilate, Notre Dame. And I told him, I said, hey man, Bama beat us, but it didn't matter whichever team. And he was like, man, I don't want to hear that trash or whatever. And I said, listen, dude. He goes, you don't think we got a shot against Bama? I said, I think you have a shot at keeping them from scoring 50. And he was like, man, get out of my yard. So he basically like kicked me out of his house or whatever.
Wow.
Anyway, Bama scored 49 on them.
Yeah.
And I messaged him last week. I was like, hey, told you had a shot at keeping them under 50.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say Notre Dame. Listen, if you look back at the history of college football, big picture, try to be objective. You can't take anything away from that program. Sure, it's historic. They got a lot of tradition. Their fans are, spread out national. It's a national brand.
Sure.
But there's one thing Notre Dame ain't never did, and that's beat Georgia.
Fair enough. Okay.
3-0.
Listen, we can joke around and we can clown all we want to, but I believe we have some important business to talk about tonight, right? We got to talk about this.
It's a sour week.
Yeah. So, shall I go ahead and reveal the topic of the show?
We got to have a conversation about Kirby Smart.
Yes, we do.
I'll say this. 6 months ago, hell, probably even 3, maybe 4 months ago, he had a bulletproof vest. There was no conversation, no really real, seriously taken conversation about Kirby Smart. Mm-hmm. He was still the king. Mm-hmm. You couldn't criticize, you couldn't question. And there was a good argument to be made that you had no reason to. But after what has transpired this season, I can tell you with authority, the majority of Georgia fans are not only questioning, but viciously criticizing, and in some cases, ready to move on.
Yeah. What's the difference between we call them Disney dogs, right? And then there's your objective fan who can tell you what's going on with the program because they have eyes and they work, right? And then you have your Disney dogs who are sunshine and rainbows always, right?
I call them Disney dogs. I call them Care Bear fans.
Yeah.
I don't know what the difference is. I think it might be how casual they are as football fans. Period. How casual they are as fans of college football. I think it might be just they can't see anything other than the red and black, rah rah rah. They're cheerleaders. Right. Cheerleaders are paid to do a job. Cheerleaders have one function. If you're losing 89-0, they're still on the sidelines. That's a Disney dog.
Right.
They're going to come up. If you were to field Stetson Bennett, Zamir White, and Trey Hill only, 3 versus 11, Disney dog's going to find a way to tell you that Georgia's going to win.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
They don't pick it apart and analyze it. Now the realists like me, the doomers, I can see a trend. If you didn't know we were in trouble by Arkansas, you're a Disney dog.
Week 1, right? Week 1, first half.
The game. The score looked like we won handily. Go back and watch that game. Do a deep dive. Do the same thing with Auburn. Do the same thing with Tennessee. I think Tennessee led us going into that half.
Arkansas did too, didn't they?
I believe they did.
Yeah. Now we jumped all over.
You get to Alabama and you get your pants pulled down.
Mm-hmm. We jumped all over.
There's the trend. What's the trend? Trend is we are missing the most important cog of the wheel, a quarterback. Mm-hmm. I think it was last week, maybe the week before, when we had Ethan and Ashley on. Ethan was trying to rag on JT. Why are you telling me JT Daniels is your savior? We don't need a savior. We need one piece of the puzzle. We need a quarterback who is functional. We didn't have that we overwhelmed those first teams with raw talent. That goes to Kirby's recruiting. Mm. They're dripping with 5-star talent. The teams like Tennessee and Arkansas and probably some of these teams coming up, if we get to play anymore, they're not going to be able to keep up with 60 minutes with guys who are just that good.
Right.
But when you get up to the Alabamas, obviously they can. And when you come up against the Floridas, who on one side of the ball are as good as anyone else in the country, You got to have that cog. You got to have that piece. You got to have that quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the crux of this Kirby conversation, how his approach to this has become a detriment to the team. And it's going to go back to the Fields transfer. I spoke with Uncle Lou on LouTube. Some of you may be familiar, some of you not. If you're not, go check him out. And I told him before I hung up, I said, we are going to rue the day that Justin Fields left the program. Yeah. Get ready to rue. It's ruin time.
So the thing is that if Kirby Smart's entire tenure at Georgia was, if the only negative cloud, the only cloud that hung over it was the Justin Fields transfer, it would be enough, wouldn't it? That would be enough of a cloud. But the fact is that things like that do happen occasionally to programs. I'm not talking Georgia. I'm just talking about in general. So bad stuff happens, and then you watch how does the team respond, right? And then that'll tell you a lot. So sometimes things don't work out. So transfers, or so quits, or I heard the Florida State receiver Tamarion Terry decided to just
Jackson State
to take a break right today. So anyhow, you see teams deal with adversity all the time, and sometimes extreme adversity, and it's all about how they respond to that adversity. All right, so Kirby loses the highest rated player he's ever signed, or that Georgia's ever signed, right, to Ohio State, because Kirby couldn't figure out how to get him off the bench. By the way, I heard a joke this weekend. Did I tell you how many Georgia Bulldogs does it take to stir the Gatorade? Just one, but he's got to be a 5-star quarterback. So we couldn't figure out how to get Justin Fields onto the field.
Where's the lie?
All right, and then he left, and so that hangs over. So it's like, okay, well, now Kirby's clearly learned his lesson. He's clearly learned that you got to have a quarterback. You got to innovate on offense and yada yada yada. Nope. Nothing, no learning. And so you come into this season like, okay, we finally got another 5-star quarterback. He's only the third best in the country behind Fields and Trevor Lawrence. Clearly, we should be able to do something for this. And Bearman, I want to hit on something real quick that you mentioned earlier. We're not asking for a savior. We're not asking for a savior. We are asking for a quarterback. We're asking. It's not like we're saying that Stetson Bennett is an A quarterback and we're asking for an A+. You know what I'm saying? Stetson Bennett is what he is. All right, and what he is ain't an A+. But we're not really even asking for an A+. We're asking for just somebody who can do better than 9 for 29. You know what I mean? Whatever the hell he did.
I want 16 for 20, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Yeah, so I mean,
that's not insane.
Certainly not as good a numbers as Kyle Trask put up on us.
I mean, if someone were to come along and do that, if someone were to come along and play for Georgia like a Kyle Trask or a Mac Jones or a Justin Fields, great, I'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
We got so much else going on the team at every level. 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, 300 yards. I'm just saying 16 for 20.
Mm-hmm.
What's wrong with that? Nothing. Instead, against Florida, whose defense ain't there. I got news for you. If they score 47 on Bama, Bama's going to score 60 on them. We had 2 quarterbacks who threw just north of 100 yards.
Mm-hmm.
2 combined.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This 20, is Kirby Smart doing.
Damn near, what is it? A little less than 33% completions.
Yeah. So, like you said, Fields leaves. Things happen. How do you respond? You come back with Stetson Bennett.
Yeah.
Actually, it's before that. Yeah. You come back with Fromm the next year, and he regresses to the point where we're calling for him to be Bennett.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It is a complete mismanagement of the offense as a whole, specifically at quarterback. Because we can run the ball. We're actually very good at running the ball, and we get away from the run. We ran first play of the game, 75 yards, Zeus, untouched, 3 tight ends. Never saw the play again. Instead, we went, you know what we should do now? now that we know we can push around Florida when they're fresh, let's put the game in Stetson's hands.
Right.
Going. This is it. This is the way to go.
You're right, Matt. Matt, Ethan on the show last week, we mentioned it. Ethan said something about, he said, look, I certainly believe that Monken is going to have something drawn up. He's going to be ready to go. He's a good enough coordinator. He's going to be ready to go, have something special in the tank for Florida. Okay, that's reasonable, right? It makes sense. And when we were given the keys to the other team's victory, he said that's the thing that Georgia needs to do is they need to have something, in the tank. And then halfway through the week, I messaged you. I said, "Hey, Matt, we're talking. We're spending a lot of time talking about how ineffective our quarterbacks are, but we don't spend a lot of time talking about how young our receivers are. That's a two-way street. It's not like he's out there throwing to Randy Moss and Michael Irvin. You know what I mean? Like he's got some young guys. But where we do have experience is Trey McKitty at the tight end position. Of course, what's his face? Pickens didn't play, but Jackson's out there. So you put your most experienced receivers out there, and you get your big tight end set. So like multiple tight ends. So like bring in was it Fitzpatrick? That's the other guy. And McKitty, and maybe even Washington, right? You can load those guys up, and suddenly we have some pretty big receivers, but we also have extra blockers, right? And we can do the thing that will hurt Florida, and that's running at them. And sure enough, first play from scrimmage, here comes 3 tight ends. There goes Zeus, 75 yards, untouched. And I was like, holy
Screamed
cow.
so loud my dog pissed on the floor.
Yeah. I couldn't believe that I
Zeus so loud that my dog cowered in the corner, thought he was in trouble.
Right.
And pissed on the floor.
Right.
Because it was a thing of beauty.
Mm-hmm. It was such a thing of beauty that you're never allowed to see it again. And I just don't understand. I don't get it.
Well, keep. I've always heard in football, you keep doing it until they stop it.
Yeah, it's not like
not Kirby. God, I need you. Let's put it in Stetson's hands. Tonight's the night. This is it. This is the one. Stetson's gonna have a coming out party against Florida.
Listen, you do realize that when Zeus scored that touchdown, the last person to touch his jersey was him, right?
Mm-hmm.
When he put it on, like no one put a hand on him. He went straight into the end zone, and I was like, "Oh my God!"
Refresh.
Yeah, and so you're not even. It's not like they even attempted to stop it. They were nowhere close. He had not a wrinkle on him. He was fresh and clean.
How many more times did Zeus touch the ball that game?
6. He touched it a total of 7 times.
Okay.
He ended with just over 100 yards, which is just slightly better than our not quite nearly as good as our passing numbers. He ended with just over 100 yards, 75 of which came on the first play. So I just got a man that went 75 yards and toted the mail. I'm going to give him the ball 6 more times in a game that we lost by 16 points.
Yeah, that does not have the fingerprints of Todd Monken on it. That has the fingerprints of a one Kirby Smart. And you know what? I'm hurt. I'm disgusted. I'm angry. It always sucks to lose to Florida. Always, But I'm also grateful. Ask me why I'm grateful.
Why are you grateful?
Because if we had made a few plays and squeaked out an ugly win, the can would have been kicked down the road, as it was done with Mark Richt for the better part of a decade.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Mark Richt should have had the conversation around 2009, 2010, but he would always sneak in there and get that emotional win, that win he wasn't supposed to get, come real close here, come real close there, and buy himself more time. If Kirby does that this past weekend, he buys himself more time, not necessarily getting fired, but more time where George, he's fine. Let's not talk about it. Everything's fine. Now you can't do that.
Right.
Now you got to look at the stats. You got to look at how we played, how we looked. You got to look at the miasma around the offense, specifically the quarterback situation. Look what happened last year. Look what happened the year before. And now we got to have a conversation, the Kirby conversation. And part of that conversation is if we want to win a national championship, we should have done so already. We should have 2. There is no excuse to having
at least one.
Top to bottom that we have and not having a national. If Urban Meyer, Ryan Day, Nick Saban, Dabo Swinney walked into Kirby's office today, beat him up, threw him out the window, and then took over the team, we'd have a national championship in 6 months. Any of those guys could do it. For some reason, this guy can't. And it's always these boneheaded decisions and this stubbornness.
Yeah.
You notice the week before when they started to try and grill him about the quarterbacks, he was smug, defiant, almost like he was in denial. This week, all of a sudden, yep, everybody's getting a look. You know why? Because the boosters have chimed in.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I paying you this money when all you're going to give me is Stetso Baggins?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I couldn't believe it when it's like a media person will say, "Hey, coach, it looks like you got a quarterback problem," and Kirby's like, "What are you talking about? Quarterback problem? Look, we're doing just fine." And it's just very dismissive of that. And it's like, Coach, we can see it, and anyone can see it. You know, why don't you see it? And then suddenly, when people, you know, like you said, people who have their hand on the money strings, you know, Coach, we have a problem. Suddenly, quarterback competition is up in the air.
Wide open.
Wide open.
Today, he uttered Carson Beck's name today for the first time ever. Carson Beck's never met Kirby Smart ever. Doesn't even know who he is. He just got pulled into Georgia because it's Georgia. Today they met. They came to Jesus, and Kirby actually said Beck's name for the first time ever. Yep, he's in the competition. Beck's growing and getting better, and all this, that, and the other. Quarterback competition is open, and I love that. I was like, okay, great, because I want Kirby to be the guy. I wanted Rick to be the guy. He just didn't do it. I want Kirby to be the guy. But with this postponement in the back of my mind, I am thinking that now it's the perfect excuse to get Stetso Baggins healthy and ready to start against the next team we play, because he gives us the best chance to win.
Yeah, so on the one hand, all right, just being honest with you, this game being postponed isn't the worst thing in the world. We have a lot of guys who are hurt. This is a fantastic opportunity to heal some of those guys up. So I don't mean to say unfortunately, but I'm going to say unfortunately one of those guys is going to be Mr. Baggins. And I mean, it's almost like when he got dinged up against Florida, I was like, oh, Florida going to Florida, you know what I mean? And then it didn't happen. I was like, oh, that might be the knock on the door that we need right there. Stetson's little shoulder's a little hurt. I mean, I hate to couch it like that, you know, but like,
I don't want Stetson to be hurt, but hell, Kirby put him back in after he was hurt.
Yeah, I know. Yep. And you got DeJuan in there. Just, I don't know, man. DeJuan has a lot of physical tools, man. But you can tell
the upside to DeJuan is infinitely better than Stetson. Stetson plateaued at Arkansas. It never got better than that. Actually, when he outran Big Cat Bryant at Auburn and fired and made that, I mentioned this last week, the first down on 3rd and 10, that was like, okay, Stetson can make a play here and there, but that's all he's ever going to be able to do. One, if you watch, could sling the ball from here to Mars. Problem is it won't hit Mars. It'll hit like an asteroid passing by. That can be worked on. Problem is he didn't, that tells you he didn't get the reps he's supposed to get.
That's exactly what I mean. Yeah.
So again, back to Kirby Smart. It's a developmental problem. Yeah. Well, we got 5 stars who, I mean, of all the 5 stars we've got, which one is like the superstar? Where's our LT? Where's our,
Are you talking
Fitzpatrick? Where's
the defensive side of the ball, or
anywhere? Where's our Justin Fields? Oh, he's in Columbus. Hold on. We got another 5-star though. Where is he? He's on the scout team.
So I'm thinking that people want to say, to the critics who would say, I thought Georgia's defense was supposed to be this vaunted. I thought, what's the line from Princess Bride? You were supposed to be this fantastic thing, this wonderful thing. Would you like for me to send you back to Greenland, unemployed in Greenland? Dude, what has been the time of possession for the past 3 weeks? What has been Georgia's time? I don't think that we have possessed the ball in 3 weeks that for a time that would equal a whole hour. You know what I mean?
I believe you're correct. I mean,
it was under 30 with Alabama. It was well under 30 with Kentucky. Kentucky held the ball like the whole game, and it was 24-ish. It was like 36-24 Florida, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, we have not. Our offense punted on 5 consecutive possessions against Florida, and the only reason they didn't punt on 6 consecutive possessions is because Mr. Baggins decided to throw a pick. So what do you do with that? You know, we only had 8 total possessions against Kentucky. You know, because our offense just will not possess the ball. We will not possess the ball. So you're sticking your defense into the oven over and over and over and over and over. And I don't care how good you are on defense. First of all, today's offenses, Alabama and Florida included, are too good. They're going to score points anyway. They're going to score points. The best you can do is mitigate that, right? So what is it? Alabama was scoring like 51 a game. What did they score? What did they score on us, like 41?
No.
We mitigated them 10 points. So all we got to do is score 42 points. Now, before the season started, you and I talked, and we said, what do we want? If Santa could bring us a UGA, wish list, what do we want out of this team? And we both settled on we need to be scoring about 42 points per game. 42 is what gets you up into the echelon with Alabama and Clemson and Oklahoma and these teams, these perennial playoff contenders. You score 42 points a game, you're in the conversation, especially if you have a defense like Georgia does. You're putting up 42. Yeah, good luck. That means you're getting beat 42-10, every week because you're not going to score. So we asked for 42. First 3 games of the season, we're sitting at 36. I did the math. We're at 36 points per game, which ain't 42, but a heck of a lot better than we were last year. So we're a full touchdown better than our average last year, which was about 29. And I thought, okay, we're not where we want to be, but we're moving in the right direction, right? No. Next three games over the next month, our 36 points per game drops to 22 points per game. And suddenly, it's like Ethan said, we're trying to establish an identity. He said, what exactly is Georgia's identity? And I don't know the answer to that. What is Georgia's identity? Our identity looks like a fish that jumped out of the bucket and landed on the bank, sort of wiggled around a little bit, and eventually just gasped its last gasp, and that's where we are. So I guess we got to open up a quarterback competition. Bro, shouldn't you be doing that every day? Shouldn't there? I mean, I used to tell my students, hey, your seat don't have a name on the back of it. You know what I mean? Nobody's seat has a name on the back of it. If you can't fill that seat, I'll find somebody who can, And why isn't that always the case? Sing for your supper,
How did it come to this?
Are we saying
why does it have to be this bad before this man says, you know what? I might better make a change or reevaluate. But now I don't trust them to evaluate anymore. You're not going to convince me that JT Daniels, who allegedly ran off Jamie Newman, didn't show you nothing in practice.
Right. Like
you can say it all you want. You can sit there and say it all you want. You full of shit. Pardon my Swahili.
Well, listen, man. Okay, so he was injured. So there was some plausible deniability. He did have a knee that was banged up. Okay, fine. He gets cleared, and then he still doesn't play, and you're like, well, maybe Kirby knows that something that we don't know, right? But then it gets down to brass tacks, and it's like, look, now we need to win some game. We got some opportunities here. We got to win a game. Bama's really, really good. They're really good. We led them at halftime, though, and then the second half, we bogged down and Stetson threw a pick and then you come back and threw another pick and then by that time the game had sort of snowballed on us and you're like, dang, we took one on the chin. Next time, Bama, next time, and then but here's the thing, man. Stetson did not look any worse in the second half against Bama than DeJuan did in the first half against Arkansas. And the first half against Arkansas earned DeJuan nice little cozy spot over next to the Gatorade stirrer, right? Finally, after 3 games of just pure floundering, pure garbage, finally decided to paddle Stetson on the back and say, old Yeller, you run a good race, kid. And then let him sit down and make way for DeJuan Mathis, who still looks just as good as he did in the first half of the Arkansas game. And that ain't saying much. But what you put him on the shelf. You know what I mean? You put him on the shelf. DeJuan's been out of football for a while. He's been, he had the brain surgery and whatnot. And he hasn't played in a while. And you give him a little bit of exposure in that first game. Of course, he looks shaky. He looks downright terrible, honestly. He hasn't looked great yet, but he does have those flashes, though. Like you said, he will occasionally uncork a ball, and you're like, holy crap, you can throw a ball that far? I didn't even know. I've never seen Jake Fromm do it, right?
That bullet he fired to Karras was quite impressive.
Yeah, and then occasionally you'll see him, get under pressure and roll out of the pocket, and all of a sudden he's gone. Like he'll stride out. 25 yards later, somebody's finally dragging him down. You're like, it's possible for quarterbacks to do this, just not seeing it. That's why I think that after every down they had to take Jake Fromm. They had to pull up crowbar and pry his feet off the 20-yard line and slide him 10 yards down the field and nail it back down because he wasn't going to move. He wasn't going anywhere.
A guy named RJ Young's videos I check in on from time to time.
RJ, yeah.
He put one up today saying, he's usually pretty fair to Georgia, but sometimes I'm going to be like, dude, shut up, because you're going to ruin my mood. He put up a video today talking about how Carson Beck and Brock Vandagriff have to be concerned about how quarterbacks are getting developed at Georgia, something to that effect.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, we got enough trouble. We don't need any more out of you.
Right.
Still bitter about 2017 when we whooped your ass in the Rose Bowl. Don't let that. Just let us handle the Georgia dirty laundry. You stick to whatever you're doing out there in the plains or Oklahoma, wherever the hell you are.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I like his show.
I do too. It's a good show.
Don't be putting birds in the ear of Brock Vandagriff and Carson Beck. We're gonna need them boys.
And the fact of the matter is he's. It's like you said. Where's the lie?
But that's what bothers me the most. Where's the lie?
Right.
He's not lying.
No, he's absolutely right. I need to see something. I need to see it. I need to see Kirby.
What do you need to see?
I need this behavior, this persistent behavior that we have seen repeated over and over and over about too much. It's a control thing. You remember when Brady came into LSU, and you're like, oh well, is it going to work? We don't know, but it's going to depend on if Coach Orgeron can get out of his own way. And dude, I have so much more. Like, I already liked Orgeron because he's a character, you know what I mean? But I got respect for the man now as a coach because he understood that his team's limitation was essentially himself. And he said, I have a man. I hired a guy who knows how to answer this problem in a way that I don't know how to answer. So I'm going to be over here drinking lemonade. You guys let me know if you need anything. And he just sort of peaced out, right? And got out of the way. And he let Joe Burrow and Joe Brady do their thing. And you know what? They won a championship in impressive fashion. And then everybody said, wow, Kirby, we need to get us one of those guys. And Kirby said, all right, we'll get you one of those guys. And he went and got Todd Monken. And, I like Monken. I like Monken philosophically. I think he's a fine hire. We also learned that Monken is in charge of play calling and play design, scheme and whatnot. But we learned that Kirby is in charge of personnel. So I see the things that Monken wants to do. And I see the different, the color that he's bringing to the offense. Matt, how many catches does Matt Landers have this season? I can tell you. You want me to tell you? I can tell you.
I need a drink first.
Matt Landers has 2 catches this season for a total of, I think, about 27 yards. 2 catches for 27 yards. Now get this. Against Arkansas, he caught a ball for, I think, was 23 yards. He caught a 23-yard pass. So that means he's got another catch for like 4 yards. And guess what game that came in? Yeah, that's right. It came in the Arkansas game. So Matt Landers caught 2 balls against Arkansas, first game of the season.
Why are we talking about that bad luck voodoo talk?
I'm telling you, how many times has he had balls thrown at him this
Well, I can
season?
tell you right now, Dwan Mathis targeted him 4 times.
4 times. What about against Bama? I remember that ball that sailed over his head about 5 yards, and he just pulls up.
Even the announcers were like, "Dude, you got to keep running."
Mm-hmm. If you were in charge of personnel, why are you putting that guy on the field?
We have been cursing Matt Landers' name for 2 years now. Mm-hmm. It ain't just what you threw out there for this year. Matt Landers was a scumbag last year and the year before that.
Somehow
he's still getting his number called.
And you know what? He's been on the field infinitely more than JT Daniels has.
It's infuriating.
Okay. Hey, buddy. You want to do some picks?
Why not? Let's do it.
Yeah.
It won't be Georgia this week because they ain't playing.
Speaking of ain't playing, UGA, Missouri can't postpone. Texas A&M, Tennessee, Auburn, Mississippi State, Bama, LSU, all postponed. Now, I could have sworn I read somewhere that the Bama LSU game was in fact canceled. You know what? I'm going to look that up.
I thought I had read that too. LSU already has a game to make up, I believe, right?
I'm checking on that right now. Okay, so I'm reading here. Bring this up. This is on the Roll Tide Wire. I'm gonna bring this on the screen real quick.
Wait, real quick. Does LSU already had one game to make up, correct?
Yes, they have the Florida game to make up.
Yeah. You're not going to make them play Florida and Alabama at the end of the season. Get out of here.
Right. I think this seems fair.
Yeah, canceled. Okay.
Yeah, so news broke today of the Alabama-LSU contest being postponed. The game was originally scheduled for upcoming Saturday. The cancellation. So they're using the word cancellation and postpone interchangeably, it would seem.
LSU better hope it's canceled. Bama will put 80 points on them sumbitches.
Yeah. So I Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if they're going to play it. Well, it's like this. I think that Greg Sankey is going to make a decision about some of these games rather that are postponed / canceled, whatever. I think he'll make some sort of decision that whatever decision he makes will benefit the conference. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
If
they're going to protect the ones who have a shot to get in the playoff.
Right. And that's fine with me. I would hope that he would do the same were it our team in that position. That's what a conference commissioner is supposed to do, right? Protect the conference. It sucks that Bama LSU is a game. It's a game that's of some sort of notoriety, and you enjoy watching that game. Probably wouldn't enjoy very much this year, but what's the point in playing it if it could only stand? In other words, if Bama destroys LSU, so what? They haven't improved their standing. They're right where they were. But if they lose to LSU,
like we did against Kentucky,
right? If they get banged up, if they lose the game, if something else happens, then you're talking about who represents the SEC in the playoffs. It's a rough spot. So if they decide to cancel that game, I can't say that's a bad decision. But anyway, we do have 3 of the 7 games still slated to play this weekend. So unfortunately, none of them has a very convincing. Well, let's just say it like this: the spreads are all pretty big, right? So I'll take the first one, and then we'll alternate. All right. So first game, 12 a.m. game. We got Vandy visiting Kentucky. Kentucky's a 17-point favorite. I'm not certain that Kentucky can beat anybody by 17.
Not even Vandy?
No, but here's why. Because I think Kentucky would have a heck of a hard time getting to 17. But Vandy's pretty bad. So what does a 17-point spread look like? 24-7. Is that a possible score? Yeah, sure. That seems legit. Vandy's going to have a heck of a hard time scoring on Kentucky's defense. I just don't know if I can take Kentucky and have to give up all those points. I think Kentucky wins the game outright. I do not think that Kentucky will win the game by 17. So I'm going to take Vandy and the points.
I shall take Kentucky.
Oof. Say more? Or not? You just think that Vandy's that bad, huh?
I think Vandy's that bad. It's at Kentucky. Listen, they bloodied our nose, and at the time that we went in there, we were still considered one of the best teams in the country. There's a what they score? 3 on us?
3.
They kicked a field goal.
Mm-hmm.
I think they'll be able to. Vandy's in a tailspin. I think Kentucky will be able. It'll be ugly, but they will get. Yes, they'll get those points.
Okay. All right. So you're taking Kentucky and giving 17. I'll take Vandy and take 17. Okay. Fair enough. What do I know? I mean, my pick record should speak for itself. Here's a game I'm interested in. 7 o'clock. The Pigs go to the Swamp. And get this, dude. What is it? Arkansas is visiting UF, who is favored by 17.5.
I know that Arkansas has become a feel-good story, and I'm tired of hearing that too. We've got 2 feel-good stories on our team. I don't want to hear the words feel-good story again. But Arkansas is one of those. And I'm glad for him. I'm glad for Coach Pittman.
Speaking of Coach Pittman.
He ain't on the sidelines this time. It's in the Swamp.
Yes.
Would you like to go ahead? Or do you want me to go first?
I'm going to take Florida and give all 17.5 of those points.
Yeah, I'm going to take Florida too, and I'm going to give all them points.
I honestly believe that this will be an intriguing matchup in that Felipe Franks is visiting his former team for the first time, and it will remain an intriguing matchup for approximately 2 snaps of the football.
Okay, fair enough.
And then Florida is going to make those pigs squeal. I liked watching Arky rise up against Tennessee last week. Nothing against Tennessee. It was a good, there was
a little bit against Tennessee.
A little bit. Okay, fine, a little bit. But it was good to see them face a team with some adversity. Arky was down 13-0 at halftime and came back in the third quarter and went touchdown, field goal, back to back. And I thought, oof, and it's good to see Coach Pittman doing well. I hate the fact that he tested positive for COVID, but
what gives me? Yeah, I'm still stick with our picks, but what gives me a little bit of pause?
What's that?
It's not like Pittman's handing the ball off to be the head coach of some schlub. Barry Odom. Barry Odom can stop you. We'll see if he can do anything against Florida. I don't think he can. Not with this squad, not in the Swamp. No. Florida's just hot right now.
Well, here's a question for you. Is Pitts back?
The last thing I read is that Pitts was questionable, so I don't know. I haven't seen – nothing's popped up. I don't know. He's going through concussion protocol. The last I heard.
I think if you told me that Pitts was absolutely back, then I would feel like so good about the 17.5 points. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean?
Dude, you can see the difference when Pitts isn't there. Florida scored 6 points in the second half. They did all their damage in the first half, and then Lewis Seen said, "Kamikaze!"
Yeah.
And basically took that down their battleship. And once that happened, it was like, you're all right. Florida's all right without Pitts. Trask is still going to throw the ball around, but without Pitts, you can't stop. I told the Florida boys the other week, Trask for Pitts is good for 6. You You take that out, you take that one player out, you got some problems. Which is why I think if the game were played today, Alabama gonna tax that ass.
Mm-hmm.
So don't flap your gums just yet, alligator fan.
How would you like to see Pitts and Waddle on the same offense?
I wouldn't unless it was on Georgia. If it was a Georgia, if they were both wearing Georgia uniforms, I'd be all for it. I wouldn't want to see that anyway. Waddle, Pitts, and Justin Fields all on one team.
Is there a running back this year that's tearing it up? I don't even know. I haven't seen a.
It's been dominated by quarterbacks this year, bro. Etienne's having a good. I mean, Travis Etienne, but he's always good.
That's a rough one, man. All right, so last pick. I'll let you do this one first here. So we got
South Carolina at Ole Miss. And Ole Miss is favored by 11. I'm gonna take Ole Miss. You talk about a miasma. You think we got one at Georgia? Look at Columbia, because Will Muschamp is Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart is Muschamp. It's just Kirby can recruit better. That's it.
The difference between Kirby and Will Muschamp is the roster. That's it.
Wait before. Okay, I'm taking South. I'm sorry. I'm taking. Who am I taking?
Oh, you said Ole Miss. You're taking Ole Miss minus 11.
I'm taking Ole Miss all the way. Here's a quick side note before we make your pick. If Muschamp were to get fired, which is it's being whispered that he will, do you remember how Saban would take former head coaches under his wing as analysts? Would you be opposed to Kirby and Muschamp buddying up on the same sideline?
I would not be opposed to that. I think the world of Muschamp, as far as his defensive mind is concerned, his problem has always been basically what Kirby's problem is, and that's they don't have an offensive framework, But here's another thought: how would you like to see Muschamp working under Lane Kiffin?
Oh, I don't think I want to. Jeez.
Or
now
Mike
you're talking about Two-Face. You're talking about the Two-Face of college football, and Two-Face was a dangerous villain in the Batman comics last time I checked.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to see that, man. Now you're talking. Yeah, don't say that again. Shh.
I'm just let them coach Waddle and Pitts and Etienne and all those guys. But here's the thing for you. This matchup. South Carolina visiting Ole Miss, first of all, so that's a long drive. South Carolina going to Ole Miss, you got your classic defense versus offense scenario. Once again, we've heard this song and dance before. We've danced this dance before. Unfortunately, we have been the defense side of things, like South Carolina is, and we see what happens when offense meets defense in these days. And so I'm going to test that theory and say Ole Miss, and give anybody they want all 11 of those points. And I might even be persuaded to give more than that. I think Ole Miss is going to eviscerate the Cox this weekend.
I do too. Lane Kiffin has got the best opportunity he's had in years based on his history, and I don't think he's going to squander Ole Miss. God almighty. If Muschamp gets fired and it goes to be the defensive coordinator at Ole Miss, West better watch out.
That would be sickening.
Are we the first? It's not a story. Are we the first to say that?
Probably.
I ain't heard, man. That's dangerous. Man, that's dangerous.
Well, the fact of the matter is that you know that Muschamp is probably not long for this world at South Carolina, right?
No, I'm hearing he's not at all.
At some point, he's going to go on the shelf. Somebody is going to buy him, right? Somebody will buy him. Maybe not to be their head coach. Somebody will buy him. There's plenty of teams out there that could use defense. Even the SEC shorts guys have lamented or poked fun at the lack of defense in the SEC this year. Why not go back to Florida? Work for Dan Mullen.
Well,
what about,
I think what happened, because I think Grantham, as much flack as he's taken because of this Georgia win, it's what I told you about at the beginning of the show.
Oh, so they can kick the can now.
Kick the can down the road. Yeah, you did enough. You got that win, so that eases some tension. That stops the bleeding. Again, there are bad wins when you have a bad coach, because bad coaches, like Mullen said years ago, sometimes that blind squirrel can still find a nut.
Mm-hmm.
And when they do, people are like, "Oh, okay, you're turning a corner." It was a good loss for us. I think it might have been a bad win for them because Grantham, we've already danced that dance too.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, if Florida cannot beat Alabama, it won't be because the offense can't keep up. It'll be because the defense can't do shit with Trask and company. I'm sorry, Mac Jones and company.
Right. Yeah, I got you. Yeah. All right. That's all I got for tonight, Matt. You want to talk about anything?
Before we go, I just want to say that USC should have lost that game. I don't think anybody from the Pac-12 should be eligible for a postseason playing 7 games, which undoubtedly some are going to get postponed because California's now over 1 million cases themselves.
Wasn't there one postponed already? Wasn't the Oregon game already?
I believe it was. Mm-hmm. Yeah, good catch. Yeah, I believe it was.
They're not leaving themselves very much wiggle room. No. I mean, same thing for Big Ten. Big Ten country not leaving themselves very much wiggle. Oh, good thing the SEC left themselves some wiggle room because we're going to use it all up. Yeah. I mean, the way that these numbers are trending with this pandemic, man, I just don't know. I'm not even quite 50-50 right now that we will even finish the season. If we finish the season, it'll just be just a pure dumb miracle,
Well, selfishly, with how it's played out for our dogs, if the season were to be canceled, I wouldn't be heartbroken.
It's
selfishly.
It's hard to separate the brain and the heart on this conversation because the brain says, "Look, this is dangerous. This thing is dangerous. We shouldn't be flirting with it. There's no reason we should continue packing stadiums, all over the country. It's not good. And the numbers are going up. And here come the holidays. And, I'd like to go visit my family, but I'm thinking maybe it's not the best time to do that. And then I keep turning on the TV on Saturdays and seeing these kids just like crammed into these stadiums. And I think, but on the other hand, I love college football and I want to watch it. And I want to see my team win. But if my team isn't playing, I just want to watch it. I would just rather watch it. I would rather live in the world where it's okay to watch it, and not have to worry about people getting hurt or sick or whatever, but that ain't the world we live in right now. So I don't know, dude. I just have it's not even a bad feeling anymore. It's just sort of like you just accept the impending doom. You're just like, yeah, this is going to end in a dumpster fire, and it's look, dude, we got more than half of our games are canceled this week in the SEC, more than half. How much more of a dumpster fire do you need?
Same thing happened next weekend. And you watch. If it happens again, if it happens one more time after this weekend, you'll hear some rumblings about, well, that's a wrap, folks.
Yeah, I mean, Ohio State's not playing. Is Notre Dame? Did I see that Notre Dame wasn't playing? Maybe I'm dreaming that up. But you got every ranked team in the SEC is not playing, with the exception of
Florida,
and
they've already had COVID issues.
Right. They're playing because they've already had their game postponed, right? And I don't know, man. It's just not looking good. If somebody said, "I bet you $5 that all the teams will finish the season," I would take that bet. I say, yeah, $5 easy money. No way. There's no way that we're going to finish the season, or at least not intact. If this is a plane flying, we're going to lose a wing or a rudder or something.
I tend to agree. However, I think we've done enough damage for tonight. I think next week we want to catch y'all behind the hedges, and we'll try to unpack what little bit happens this weekend, and maybe keep going and expounding upon this weird year and this weird situation that we all find ourselves in.
Yes. Hey, let me say this too. If you're watching this, give this YouTube channel a like. Share this video with somebody who you think might also watch it, and leave us a comment to ask us a question. Tell us we're stupid.
In this corner might be a subscription button somewhere in here.
Somewhere over
you
there.
Need to hit that button.
Yeah, subscribe. Join us. We're gonna try to do this a lot, and hopefully this thing will continue to snowball and gather some steam, and we'll try to bring you to things that you want to see.
Even if it don't, we ain't gonna quit. We'll keep doing it just to spite y'all.
Yeah, because we got friends and they like to watch us talk to ourselves on the camera. Roger that. All right, Matt. I have enjoyed it. I will say good night to you.
Good night, folks. Good night, Mitch. We will we'll have something fun going on next week. I feel like it's things are going to get more interesting.
Right on. All right, dude.
Big picture.
Later, everybody. Good night.
Peace.